Hello and welcome. This is a blaster you might not know about, the Nerf Hyper Evolve. Let's check it out. Included in the box is the Evolve-100 itself, eye protection, 75 hyper rounds, and the instructions. Now let's go over the Nerf Hyper Evolve. On the right side of the blaster you have a jam door, same on the left. Your safety's right here, both on the right and on the left. You have some rival style rail on top and on the bottom. Now this weird protruding thing back here is actually the blaster's main gimmick. Pushing this in with your thumb on either side will open the hopper. So technically you can do stuff like this. And that is actually really neat. Now obviously this blaster is pump action, so to prime it we pull back and push forward. The prime is relatively smooth and lightweight. To my absolute annoyance, this blaster does not have a hop-up. Its barrel is very similar to the Rush 40 and the Fuel 20 with the grooves going all the way down. The build quality is awesome like usual. The stock is extremely solid and a very adequate length. Now the grips are both very comfortable. Actually, this blaster does not feature slam fire. Now let's fire it and see how well it feeds. That was actually fantastic. I had absolutely no misfeeds. I think the Evolve-100 actually has the most reliable feeding of any Hyper Blaster I've seen yet. Now we're going to take this thing outside and grab some chronograph numbers. Let's grab some data. 117, 116, 115, 118, 117, 115, 113, 111. Obviously we're getting past the 110 FPS box claim. This thing definitely fires pretty good. Now we're going to take some shots downrange. Alright, so those were some phenomenal ranges. The accuracy, not so much. Pretty bad. I don't understand why they didn't put a hop-up in here, but I'm actually very impressed with the Evolve. This thing's feeding is more consistent than any Hyper Blaster we've gotten yet. I think it's awesome that we finally have a Hyper Blaster that feeds reliably. So what are my final thoughts on the Nerf Hyper Evolve-100? Overall, despite the fact that you don't get a hop-up and they only give you 70 rounds when the blaster holds 100, I actually think this thing is great. The standout thing about the Evolve is the reliable feeding. For that reason alone, besides maybe the Rush 40, I think this is the best Hyper Blaster we've got thus far. And the hopper gimmick is just icing on the cake. So yeah, I really like the Evolve. I thought it was going to have really rough feeding like a Siege 50, but it turns out it ended up being the best of the Hyper line as far as feeding goes. In my opinion, the Evolve actually turned out to be a pretty great blaster. Thank you very much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Nerf Hyper Evolve-100. And happy nerfing.